Sure. So I'm Tom. I'm the co-founder and CTO at Hubble. The idea of Hubble was born out of Entrepreneur First, where that was when my co-founder and I met. And he came from a background of investment banking, and during there was where he kind of had this idea of some like Airbnb for commercial space. And off the back of that, we investigated that, talked to lots of different startup founders, and actually discovered that the real kind of challenge that a lot of these like founders had was like how difficult it was to find an office space. In terms of scaling the tech team, what I think about is the people, the process, and the technology. And for each of those, I think you want to make sure, or we made sure that you're not prematurely optimizing any of those too early. It's very easy to think about what the perfect process will be when we're 100 people, but that's not necessarily correct right now. And I think the other thing when it comes to scaling is like hiring is a massive part of that, getting the right people is a massive part of that. And in the early days, we could just start with our network. But now we have to cast our net a lot wider in order to find like great people. I would describe my management style as fairly relaxed. I approach things in a way that is to hire people better than me at what we do, and to get out their way so they can do it, and to give them as much like autonomy as possible. And I think that in the early days worked really well, and even now works really well. And the thing that I've had to adapt as we've grown and scaled a bit more is that extra element of leadership and motivation for people so they can really drive towards their goals and understand the vision and direction we're going in as a company. So I think you know that an investor is a good match for the business when you look at their portfolio and then look at their thesis. A lot of investors will have a particular thesis or particular industries that they focus on because they believe there's a lot of innovation to be had there. So when you're looking at an investor, you would look a lot at, you'd read that, you look a lot at the portfolio. The best piece of advice I could give to startups looking for investment is that it's a game of, they say it's a game of lines and not dots. So you have to build your relationships early and not just go talk to investors when you need money. And as draining as that potentially sounds, it's also very, it can be very both rewarding and have a good outcome at the end. So because as investors will want to join you on that journey rather than just give you money, essentially. So do put the work in now to start developing those relationships. Ask them what you should be thinking about as you build your business. And then when you are ready to raise money, you can go back to them and pitch them. The key to a good relationship between founders is open communication, so making sure you're always talking together. I think that one of the things that happens a lot, especially when you grow, is that you become more and more siloed and specialized in your roles. So as we've grown, we've had to make sure that we still have very open communication, and also both giving constructive feedback, but also remaining very humble in the way that we're both learning as we go. And so you have to forgive each other for your mistakes, but keep pushing each other to get better and better. I manage my stress levels as a co-founder and a CTO by making sure that the business is not my whole identity. I think that's really important for a founder, especially as you grow and scale, because otherwise what happens is you devote your entire life to the business, which often leads to burnout and often leads to you worrying about the risk of what if it fails. And I think that as a founder, and one thing that I do is I make sure I spend a lot of time still on me, having downtime, having hobbies that make me more than just the business, but also in the long run, that gives back to the business because I'm happier and I'm healthier and I'm more productive. The advice I give to startup entrepreneurs is to always listen to your customers. And I think that that sounds obvious, but as you start and you get continual feedback, and you talk to people about your business, you'll always get opinions and ideas that come from advisors, investors, friends, family, but the most important ones that count are the customers. And make sure that when you have conflicting feedback, you're always thinking from first principles about what you believe, rather than just like listening to what others think you should do. If that set had gone differently, you never really know how the match would have turned out. But then I can't really dwell on those moments. I have to like live and learn and like look forward to the next match, look forward to the next tournament.